Hello. Okay, sorry about that. I swear my phone is sabotaging me. Hello everyone, welcome to Hero Arts Make Along. Stop that there. I turn it down and then when it goes into StreamYard, it turns the volume up. I don't understand why it does that. I gotta remember that. But welcome, welcome. Today we're gonna create a card featuring the June My Monthly Hero kit. This was a awesome kit. It actually sold out. It's so awesome. It has one of my favorite products that Hero Arts makes, which is one of their layering landscape sets. Hello everyone, hello. So this one was included in both the classic and the premium kit, and it just creates this beautiful sunset scene. But we are going to actually do something a little different and kind of create like a night scene using the stamps from the set, which is something I haven't done before. I haven't created a night ocean scene before, and I just love how this one turned out. It's so moody and atmospheric. I just love the way it turned out. And I think the thing that's cool about this is it looks hard, but I don't think it's very difficult to make, but we'll go through the whole thing, so you'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera away from my face and we'll get started on today's card. So just give me a second here to change the view. All right, I believe you can hear me because I can hear a little bit on my computer, so that's good. I'm gonna turn it all the way down though. And we will get started. Just give me a thumbs up just to make sure. I think you can hear me, but it's always helpful for me to know before we get started. It's a great kit. Thunderstorm this morning. Oh, I'm glad you're joining us, Bonnie. I hope you're feeling well soon. Hear you fine. Okay, great. Thank you. That helps. I just want to make sure before I get going. All right, so we're going to start by actually stamping the water. So we'll start with that. And it is a layering stamp set. And when it comes to layering stamp sets, I always start with the largest stamp. The stamp has the largest surface area, so it's going to be this one here. So let's pull that off. There you go, very sticky. Let's get that out of the way. I have an A2 panel here of Dove white cardstock. Really, any white cardstock would work. I think actually in my instructions I said the Deluxe smooth, but either will work. I think I'm just out of that one right now. I'm going to line this up so again my panel is in the corner, and then I'll pick it up here. Can't find the thumb. I think Facebook you can't do that. I don't know. I can't remember one you can't do the thumb. So don't worry about it. It just let me know is all I need. I appreciate you trying, Joan. All right, so we're going to start. We're going to do kind of an ombre inking here. We're going to start with Bermuda. It's kind of our lighter color. We're going to ink up that whole stamp. It's kind of this beautiful teal color. I love it. When you get to the reflection, do you have any tips for lining up the stamp? I struggled. I think it overlaps, and I think that's why you struggle, because some parts do overlap. So it seems like they shouldn't. But I'll share when we do that. I'll do my best to share whatever tips I have for that layer. Absolutely. Okay, we're gonna stamp it a couple times. Obviously, it's kind of patchy. Hello from Georgia. I'm glad you found us. I'm glad you found us today too. It's a nice day to be crafting inside where it's cool, especially here in Arizona where we are at, actually I'm surprised we're that low. We're at 105 right now, but set to be 110 today, so it's gonna be a hot one. Oh, hello, Susie. Welcome. So happy to have you here. I'm using a clean scrubber block. I have two. This one I don't use to clean my stamps, but I use to kind of press down, which I love. It's very handy. I'm going to keep going, I think, one more time. Yes, 110. I know. How are you, Brianne? It's a hot one, but believe it or not, we went actually to the zoo yesterday, same temperatures, but you have to go crazy early. So we went to the zoo at 6, well, we got there at 7, and we left around 9:30, and by then it was just starting to get 100, and that's where we left. Yes, it's really great for that. Okay, so I'm going to now move on to my next color. And our next color is Deep Ocean, much more of a blue. And we're going to do a partial inking. So I'm not going to ink up the whole stamp like I did with the Bermuda. I'm only going to ink up about half or 2/3. I'm going to hold my ink pad kind of at an angle, or you can just, actually for this one I probably do a combination of both, of just inking up halfway or using just half of my ink pad, also holding it at an angle. So let's just do halfway. So only half of my ink pad is actually coming in contact with the stamp. The other half is hanging off. And if you're worried about having a harsh line, you can always take a blending brush. Let me grab one here. I don't think you're going to have to worry about it because these colors are so dark. But you can take a blending brush and just kind of go along that edge, and that will soften and remove any harsh lines that you might have from that inking. We remodeled, we had fiberglass removed down to the first plaster, and now pebble plaster pool. Oh yes. After the city to start and chemicals added. 81 here. We switched over. I have an old home, and I think our pool was original to our home. Our home is like, we're old in Arizona, so disclaimer, don't come at me. But Arizona, our home was probably in the 50s, 40s. We're not totally sure. And I'm not going to ink it up again, do it again. But look at how beautiful that looks. Already have that ombre look. But we switched over. We had a plaster pool and switched over to Pebble Tech. And we definitely appreciate a pool here in Arizona. It helps. Otherwise, I don't think I'd ever go outside. Oh, I did a little off stamping. I'm not going to stress about it. I'm just going to keep moving on. Didn't get my paper totally in the corner. It's all right, though. I'm just going to keep going. And I'm going to do one more time in Bermuda. I feel like I just have a little blank spot there. Let's make sure we're in the corner here. I'm going to try not to stress about the off stamping. I've like really tried to train myself. Okay, so that's that first layer. We're now going to move on to the second layer. Oh, Melissa, you have a 50-year-old house too? Pool was there when you bought it? Yeah. We never wanted a house with a pool. Now I'm grateful. But it is a lot of maintenance. I'm going to put this back here so you can see. We're on to this one here. So the kit will not go on sale in the future unless it's voted at the end of the year. We have kind of vote your favorite kit. And if this kit is picked, this is the June 2023 kit. If this kit is picked, then it will be up for sale again. I believe that's how it works. Okay, I'm gonna line this up. Mainly all I'm worried about here is getting the top of this stamp lined up with the top of the water. And then there's some little parts here. Let's see if I can hold up. Now, this is not the layer I know that, not the highlight layer, not the trickier one. But there's some little water overlapping parts. See, I pointed this part here that will overlap. But you just kind of have to learn your, every layering stamp set's a little different. Normally I wouldn't do it like this, but there we go. I think that's pretty good. Okay, this time we're just going to stamp this in Deep Ocean. So our darker from the last stamp. Make sure we're in the corner. Here we go. Gonna go again. Whoops. And I'm gonna have to stamp this a couple of times to really build up that intensity, because I probably stamped the Deep Ocean on that first layer too many times. I should have probably only stamped it like twice. It's going to be a hard vote this year. I agree. I agree. There have been some good ones. I'm really having fun with the two kits. It's really fun to see the two different sets of products, and there's just so much more play. Adding the premium kit has been really fun. Okay, now we're going to move on to black. So I'm going to grab pitch black. Again, we're going to ink up this only partially. We're not going to ink up this stamp the whole way. Probably only that upper quarter or upper third. I'm not even going to soften the edge or anything with the blending tool. I'm just going to stamp this. Oh, Dan wants to know your favorites. Do you guys have favorites? I know this kit here, this June kit, was a favorite because it sold out. I'm trying to think of what other ones we had. Just right now, the July kit's kind of all picnic themed. I thought that was cute. Okay. I'm going to clean it real quick and do one more stamp with, there it is, Deep Ocean. Last one, just to build up a little bit more intensity. That's what I was going to say, the butterfly one too. I thought that was a popular one as well. I liked that one a lot too. I love butterflies though. Butterflies and leaves are my favorite kind of images to work with. All right, so there we are so far. I have our ombre water. We're now going to actually move on to the sky. I'm going to do the highlight for the water kind of last because I use pigment ink and it just takes longer to dry. And we're going to do some masking, so I want to do it last. And you may notice that I have a little, because of the thickness of the stamps, you can't really cover the whole edge of an A2 panel unless you move your cardstock away from the edge. There's plenty of stamp to cover it, but being in the MISTI kind of prevents you from, if you want to keep your paper, I guess, in the corner of your MISTI, you won't stamp. My solution to that was just cutting it down. And I like that kind of different take of the card layout. The one with the vases and the flowers. Susan, I think, what one was that? I liked that one a lot too, Susan. Oh, that was like the more mixed media one. That was a really good one. I loved that die set. Yes, that was a good one. I forgot about that one. All right, we're going to grab some tape and create a quick mask. The fruit stand. Yes, that was a good one. We had some fruits in this one. No fruit stand though but we had like a really cute watermelon layering stamp. So I just have a piece of micropore tape. Any low-tack tape will do. I'm gonna just mask off our water. I'm gonna put it on my clothes one more time here. This tape is very sticky. Hero Arts does the best sea, ocean theme sets, period, end of story. I think it's because they're also near the ocean, so they do it right. All right, there we go. And we're gonna start by ink blending. I have 3 inks picked out in total: Stonewash, Nautical, and Pitch Black again. We're gonna create an ombre, dark kind of ombre sky. I'm gonna start with the Stonewash. And I need a little scratch paper. Here we go. There we go. And we'll start just ink blending a gradation here. All right. And luckily we stamp over this, so it'll kind of hide that. I'm not good a good ink blender like Mindy. I'm just so heavy-handed. I always get little splotches like that. Luckily we're going to stamp over it, so it should hide it. So that's good. Now we're going to move on to Nautical. So a darker, really navy blue. These 2 colors together, the Stonewash and the Nautical, are gorgeous together. And we can go all the way from the top down, actually. It makes it a little bit easier. It gives us a little bit more surface area to kind of start from and work down to our Stonewash. I'm an impatient blender. I'm not careful. I don't tap off as well as I should, or sometimes I forget. I'm so bad. But that should be encouraging in a way. Like, you don't have to be the best ink blender to still make cards and still ink blend. The brushes do really help though. And sometimes you'd be surprised, the inks kind of, when they start to settle into the paper, some of those are not as noticeable later on. Oh my gosh, Melissa, wow. My husband always wanted a German Shepherd. They seem like such good dogs. Okay, we're going to move on to our black now. Just a little bit at the top, just to kind of get more interest in this gradation. I'll probably go back and smooth out this transition too with a little bit of the Stonewash. Yeah, don't stress. Card making should be stress-free. It's our time to just chill. There we go. Just a little bit of pitch black at the top. And I think now I'll just go back to my Stonewash and do a little bit more here where this Nautical and the Stonewash meet. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Again, we're going to stamp over it, so if it looks a little splotchy, it'll be hidden. All right, I'm going to carefully remove, actually no, I'm going to keep my tape here. Am I going to keep my tape there? No, I'm going to remove it. I have to think for a minute. There we go. And we're going to stamp the clouds now. I'll have to clean this off better with Hero Arts stamp remover later, but it will get it all cleaned up. The ink cleaner or whatever. That stuff is the best out there, by the way. The Hero Arts stamp cleaner is the best. Yes, there you go, Sherry. Sherry agrees. She's pointing out too that yes, when the inks start to settle, they even out more. Yeah, so especially I noticed with dye inks, especially. So, and Hero Arts. All right, so we're moving on to the clouds. Oh, can't wait for winter. I mean, I wouldn't say Arizona summers are pleasant, but there are some nice aspects of it. I do like monsoon season, which we haven't had yet. I'm anxiously waiting for monsoon season. But I'm more anxious for fall. I'm like already ready for it to be fall. All right, gonna pick that up. I'm gonna put my magnet there. Great. All right, and we're gonna ink this up in Stonewash. Now, when you ink blend, it's always going to be lighter than when you stamp, because it's just more, and it's just a less ink essentially. You're applying less ink, unless you get really heavy-handed. It's going to be lighter. So even though I'm stamping this Stonewash over where I ink blended with Stonewash, you're going to be able to see it. I'm going to start with Stonewash here. We also are going to do a little ombre inking to those clouds as well. Do you find your stamping platform edge on the right-hand side prevents? Yes, I was just mentioning that. Yes, I do find it prevents. And that's because I'm always keeping my panel on that, in that corner. If you were to move your panel away from the corner, you could, if you had like the misty corners, my magnets fell out. But if you had these misty corners, that could be a solution for you too. But I always keep mine in the corner because in case, for making sure I get a good alignment every time, the correct alignment every time. So it's just it's kind of like a sacrifice I'm willing to make just to make sure I always can get my panel in the right area. One solution is to use this to kind of get it away from the corner. I feel like it just needs to be longer. That's my only reason why I don't use these. They're not as long as I wish they would be to really hold, to really make sure my paper is getting in the right spot every time. But yes, and that, again, like I mentioned earlier, my solution is that I'm going to cut this panel down, which I actually like because it is a much more interesting scene that way, being a little offset and even a little offset on the card front. So I actually embraced it for this. But if you could try to just move your paper down a little bit to avoid that, but then you risk not having that edge to always make sure you're aligning your cardstock back to, which I need. And even though I had it, I still did offset. I'm going to ink this up with Stonewash now. Again, needs another. Thank you so much, Sherry. Oh, good. I'm so glad. It's a great kit. I love these. What I love about these scene builders are Heroscapes. There we go. That's the word I was looking for earlier. There's Heroscapes kind of sets. Is that with different colors, you can totally change the feel. It's just amazing. Yeah, I should let them know. That would be my, I bet they probably, but I should let them know. I think that would be helpful if it was a little bit longer. I know it would be helpful for me. I should say that. All right, and then we're going to do one more, a little bit down here on the edge with our darker ink, which is Nautical. Here I really am going to hold my ink pad kind of at an angle. So if this is the stamp here, I'm only going to touch along the stamp edge like that. Just get a little bit of that ink there. I'm gonna do a tiny bit more on this side. There we go. And see how beautifully the clouds cover up that bad part that we messed up? So good. Nice. Okay, so now we're going to make our stars in our sky. I'm going to grab Hero Arts Unicorn Pigment ink. Just a piece of acetate. I'm just going to use my acetate grid here and press that ink directly onto that acetate. Spritz it with some water. Hopefully my paintbrush is clean this time. It is! Hooray! And I'm going to grab my scrap paper. I already think I got some spots. And kind of cover up not only the water. I don't want stars in the water. I also don't want stars really in the clouds. I want almost this gradation with the stars. So I want them more concentrated at the top and kind of lighter as I make my way down. And kind of one way to help me do that is with this scratch paper. Okay, I'm gonna load up my brush with that watered down pigment ink and just tap. My finger on the brush to just release. And we'll move it down. How are we looking? Pretty good. I'm going to do a tiny bit more. There we go. And there's our stars in our night sky. Oh, it's so magical. Stars just add that such a nice little touch. All right. Oh, that's awesome. I think my husband has that app too, Melissa. It's a great one. It really helps. I'm not very good at identifying them, so it's helpful. Okay. Now, I'm going to stamp that highlight. Now, I do want to preface that I did not get my, I did get it stamped it off, which you guys know, I mentioned I got it out of alignment when I stamped the very first stamp. So it is a little funky. It's not like the perfect, but we'll do our best to line it up. Let's get that out of there. Pop this in. This is going to be our last kind of stamped element in our scene besides our sentiment. The other card that I created, which I did a video for on Hero Arts YouTube channel and blog with this Heroscape set that was included in the June kit, is completely different. Super vibrant pinks and I think pinks and purples and even yellow and orange in there. I went way over the top and did like a sunset. So I just love how you can get kind of different looks with these Heroscape sets. Here we go. With just different colors. And we're going to turn the sun into kind of a moon, obviously, because it's a nighttime scene. All right, are we dry? Yep, dry enough. Okay. So here is the highlight. The narrower part is actually going to be at the top. And I'm going to try to hold this up to the camera. But I think one of the things that people get confused by is there's actual parts of the stamp that will stamp on top of the water. So you think you're getting it off, but there are actual intended spots that will stamp over what you've already stamped. So something like that. So I just look at, I think the top's the easier part to line up. So I line up the top to the top of the water and to those little areas where it starts to point out. And then I'm not so worried down here. I kind of overlap a little bit here down at the bottom, but I think that's intended. So I think that was how the stamp was intended to function. Okay, so this one is really weird. We're going to ink this up with unicorn pigment ink, just because I actually want to stamp this. I want to just give the I'm using kind of the pigment ink to just soften this lemon drop. So we just have the tiniest bit of yellow, the faintest little bit of yellow reflection in the water. That's really the only reason why I'm using the pigment, the white, obviously, because it's already white. Yes, the white will overlap in a couple of those areas where the stamp actually stamps over what we've already stamped. But for the most part, the white is just giving like mixing with the yellow to kind of soften the yellow. That's really the main point. So I'm going to now grab my yellow while I still have that white unicorn white pigment ink on there and just slightly ink up the upper, I'd say just third or quarter with that ink. And you will get a little bit of pigment ink on your lemon drop ink pad. It's not going to hurt it. It'll be fine. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. That tiny bit. I just want the tiniest bit of yellow. I don't want it to be all yellow, and I don't want it to be bright yellow. Just want really soft. Where it is? Here it is. I'm like, where's my tool? Oh, okay. See, that makes sense. But see now you get just the tiniest bit of yellow at the top. A little bit of the pigment ink where it overlaps. Oops, sorry, I bumped the camera. Is it still shaking? No, okay, good. And that's all I'm gonna do. I just want that tiniest, and if that yellow is too strong, I can even stamp over it with a little bit more white pigment ink. If I thought that yellow, which I can show you, it shouldn't cover it up completely. But I can stamp over it one more time with the white. Did I say yellow? I meant the white. And there we go. That's kind of our highlight there. Now we're ready for I didn't think of that. If you stamped it in yellow over the blue, you'd get green in some areas. That's very true. Luckily, my water is a little green tinted already if I did do that. I think if that's the case, try the white pigment ink that as kind of a base. Stamp it a couple times and then stamp with your colored ink. That could be a way to kind of overcome that. All right. Now, what do we do now? Oh, we're going to make the moon. So I'm going to grab that circle die. So here's that window die. We're going to grab all the frame ones. Or just grab that circle. Going to grab some white cardstock here. Really, anything would do. I didn't have a piece ready. Shame on me. Okay, we'll just use this. This is fine. And I'll die cut that out. Some of our stuff out of the way. And I am going to make this moon, I guess, a little golden, not too much, keeping it mostly white. I'm going to grab that lemon drop again, and I forgot to get a blending brush. Let me grab one real quick. I need a yellow blending brush. Yes, the window dies are really awesome. Where's my scrap paper too? We need that as well. All right, here we go. And I'm just going to kind of ink blend just the edges with a little bit of this yellow. give it a little bit of color. This will also give it a little bit more the illusion of roundness. This could also be done in gray, but I just wanted to incorporate another color, I think, in this scene, just a little bit of yellow. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do, just a tiny bit of yellow. And let's, you know what, we can go ahead and let's wait to glue that down. Just because when I cut this, I might want to move it over. I may not want it centered right now. I may want it a little bit over. So we'll wait to glue that moon down. Let's do the water now. Okay, so for the water, the sand. For the sand, I thought the easiest way was to first just color along that line where the water meets the sand with a Copic marker, and then ink blend a gradation. I find if there's a big area that I want to have a gradation, I don't really like to Copic color that, and I didn't want to mask this. So if I ink blended the whole thing, so this was a pretty good solution. I'll probably definitely be doing this in the future. So I'm just going to take this gray. Oh my gosh, I'm not talking well today. I'm saying all the wrong things. This is a tan. I'm going to take this tan Copic and just color right along. And I should have probably added more alcohol ink to this before I started. I feel like I'm always refilling this. Now I'm going to try to soften the edge a little bit here. So when I ink blend, it's a little bit more seamless. Again, the reason why I didn't ink blend all the way up to the is because I'd have to mask that, and that would be tricky because it's not a straight line. My poor dry Copic. Oh, it's so thirsty. Okay, so now we're going to hopefully smooth this out a little bit. We are going to do a little bit of ink blending, but now I have this like kind of buffer area where I can kind of ink blend up to that and not have to be so worried about getting that, well, tan, but this is an olive, which I thought was kind of a tan, like a sand in the night, you know, night sand kind of color. There we go. Oh, that's a good idea. Dan said she used the dye as a mask. That's very true. I didn't even think about that. You could use, not that one because that's not the dye. You could create a mask using the dye cut out of some scrap cardstock, or even just lay the dye down possibly. That's another good solution too. I chose olive because it was kind of lighter than some of the other, even though it's a green, than the tans and browns. That I felt like it was a nice, kind of not too light, but not too dark. And again, I wanted it to be a little bit, you know, moodier, so I wanted a more darker color, but not like brown. Gosh, that's hard to explain. All right, on camera it looks terrible, and in real life it doesn't look bad. On camera, I admit, looks really splotchy. I think I could even out with a little bit more ink in this. I'm just going to add a little bit of ink really quickly to this. But this ink will definitely even out more with time. Yeah, I know, it's so spotty. It doesn't look so bad in person, but on camera it looks terrible. But I think it just needs some time to even out. And it didn't help that my Copic was so dry. I promise it looks better in real life. I think it's already starting to even out a little bit. That's so weird. It's so weird how bad it looks for you guys. Doesn't look that bad to me. All right, I'm gonna let it kind of sit there and hope that it starts to look a little bit better. I think it will. I have faith that it will. Okay, now we're going to move on to trimming this down. I'm gonna grab my paper trimmer. We are on home stretch here, essentially. I'm gonna just trim off the right side a bit because I want my kind of, this is like the center, obviously, of this scene, and I want it a little offset. So by cutting the right down, and I want this about, it doesn't really matter at all what the dimensions are, but about 3.5. That's what I'm going to go for. Cut that off. And I didn't include this in the instructions, but one thing you can do sometimes after you cut, you know, your blended or stamped images, you have this rough edge. And it's really noticeable because it's all clean, it's all white. So you can take some of the inks that you used and just kind of go along the edge. That will really clean it up. It just kind of naturally happens when you stamp and you ink blend that you kind of get a little bit of that ink on the edge and you don't notice it so much, but when you just cut your panel, you definitely see it. So I'm gonna grab some of these inks that I used earlier. Glycerin, I'll have to try that, Sherry. I don't think I have any glycerin. And then we'll use even a little bit of this right here. Maybe if I go over with my lighter brown. Because that one's got plenty of ink. This is just E30, so just a little bit lighter. Okay. I think I should have left it alone. Isn't that how it always goes? When we try to fix it, we make it worse. Ah! I think I just need to be patient and let it do its thing. Because it's definitely what I did last time. Okay. It just looks so bad on camera. Oh well. Moving on. So let's do, oh no, look what I did to my moon. How did that happen? Let's grab a little sand eraser and kind of clean that up. How did I get ink on that? I can always make a new one because it didn't take very long, but let's see if we can't clean this up. I think almost there. A whole table shaking. think I marred the surface just a little too much, so we'll make a new one real quick because it takes half a second and it won't be messed up. No, it's just happens sometimes, right? We try to fix it and make it 10 times worse. That's going to be the lesson of today's live. Just leave the sand alone. It's fine. Oh, you can glue a little grit down over the... That's a really good idea, Jean. If I had the Hero Arts sand embossing powder, wouldn't that be great? That would be a great solution. I could even splatter it kind of like what I did with the sky. I think my big problem was I used a marker that was too dry. I should have re-inked it before the live. I didn't remember it was so dry. I think that's where all the trouble started. So I just made the moon real quick again because somehow in my process of making my sand and cutting, I got ink on my moon, which is sad. Oh, that looks so good. Just pops. I love that we have a die for that, so we don't have to like heat emboss it or anything. It just pops so much better. And let's grab our card front. Parakeet grit. Oh, that sounds like something you'd use for models. I want it a little bit over to the left a little bit more. And let's grab our liquid glue. I'm still going to put that moon to the side here for a second. Here we go. And I'll put it, where's my original? I think I was a little heavy-handed too with that olive, maybe. Maybe it'll dry lighter. Cute. And now all we have left is a sentiment. Because this has got such a dramatic scene, such a dramatic landscape and colors, I just kept it really simple with our sentiment. I'm going to use the Hello Friend that's included in the set. I'm going to grab my Misty here. Take that out. Thanks, guys. You are so kind. That makes me feel good, especially since I've made a lot of mistakes in this live. Yowza. But, knock on wood, internet's working well. So that's a big plus. I can't be too unhappy. So I just grabbed that little Hello Friend, stamping it on some pitch black cardstock. I am going to heat emboss. I'm going to apply some anti-static powder first. Ink it up with Hero Arts Embossing Watermark ink. There we go. We'll do it again. I'm going to do it one more time, probably overkill. There we go. I'll grab Detail White. Thank you. Yeah, nighttime cards are fun. I never would have thought about it until I think Libby said something about that the sun could be a moon. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make a nighttime scene. That did not stamp too well. I don't know why. I'm going to heat set it and see, and then we'll maybe have to stamp it again. My heat tool was unplugged. That stamps terribly. I'm gonna do that again. Should be conditioned. It stamped like it wasn't, so I'm just gonna try again. That looks much better. I'm just worried there's not enough ink. That's got to be good. That was much better. Okay, great. Maybe the stamp was still a little dirty or dusty. I don't know, but it did not stamp good the first time. Now we got a much better stamp. All right, now I'm going to cut it out just using a craft knife and a ruler. That's kind of my favorite way to make a sentiment strip. Just go above and below. And then I will hand cut the sides. Let's just get it away from that for a second. Okie doke. Curious, could you use one of the nesting die sets for this? I don't know how small. I mean, you could if you're okay with a bigger border, but I'm not sure. Do we have a nesting one that would work well for this sentiment, to be honest? But you can use your paper trimmer, and it's small enough. I think you could even trim with scissors, and no one would know if it's a little off. You know, it's the longer sentiments where you try to trim with scissors where you start to really see like, oh, that's a little off. But short ones, you can kind of get away with even just scissors. All right, and I liked it over the moon and with a little bit of foam. So I'm gonna grab some foam adhesive here. Let's cut a little strip. There's a needle on my scissors. And this is probably an old trick to everybody else, but a new trick to me because I've never felt very good with this, tweezers. But man, they are helpful for getting your sentiment down. Just gonna hold it, place it maybe around there, and that's it. That completes our nighttime scene featuring the June kit. Gosh, I can't wait to hold this forward facing for you guys when the camera's on my face and see if it looks any better. I mean, it looks a little choppy here in real life, but it's so funny how really splotchy it looks on camera. But the rest of it looks great. Turned out really good. Love that little highlight with a little bit of yellow. I think that just is a nice little touch to add. It kind of draw you up to that moon, and a little bit of yellow on the moon too. Okay. Oh yeah, Cindy, put your organizing aside. Go ahead and craft. Okay, I'm gonna switch cameras real quick and sign out. Okay. And I can tell you can hear me, so we're good. I'll hold up our finished card. See how it doesn't look so bad here on this camera? It doesn't look near, I mean, it's still a little splotchy, but not so bad. All right, thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today creating this landscape scene with the June kit. And I will see you guys in the next make along. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.